if we step back in history a bit, before we were colonized, we had women in public spaces, we had women in leadership. Yeah, I'm Yoruba, so I can talk of Moremi, right? Because I'm Yoruba, we have a Fushito. And because I'm Yoruba, we had series of matriarchs, that speak to that were women that challenged and were in public spaces of leadership.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Fifth Estate Show. My name is Folusho Oga, and today we have the Executive Director of the Rule of Law and Empowerment Initiative, also known as Partners West Africa Nigeria, P1. Kemi Okenyodo is here with us, and we'll be having conversations around her work experience over the years. Good day, ma'am. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Nice to be here.
Yeah. You've amassed over 20 years experience working in this sector. How has been your experience like?
It's been nice. I think everything just comes together. It's bittersweet, but a bit of it's not bittersweet. Let's just say bittersweet, but overall good at the end of the day. Yeah.
What does it feel like working in a male-dominated sector as a woman? Okay. Especially because you run a women-led organization.
So the male-dominated sector element of it is because we work in the area of security governance and criminal justice reform. And it's been a bit challenging, right? Because if I step back a bit, when I started, I joined CLEAN in August 2003. And even when I joined CLEAN, and CLEAN, for those that know CLEAN Foundation, know that CLEAN works in the area of public safety and security. And when I joined, then I was the only female in the programs team. That came with its own a bit of challenge, a bit, because I joined as a gender program officer. Yeah.
How were you able to navigate all of that?
I didn't like being a gender program officer.
Why?
It wasn't interesting for me.
Okay.
At that time, it wasn't interesting, and I didn't find the kind of activities we were involved in too interesting and challenging. So there was the opportunity to switch over to external police accountability, which I took advantage of. The way I've been able to integrate gender into my work over the years is that I see gender from the lens of accountability and service delivery. Accountability in the sense that when you're looking at interventions, we ensuring that all the it's inclusive enough, right? So inclusiveness, boys, girls, men, women, right? But for the purpose of the work that we do and for the purpose of the society that we live in, the gender that is marginalized are the women and the girls, yeah? In recent times, the boy child also is being marginalized. Then when we flip it through the lens of service delivery, is you're asking yourself, the work that is being done And the agencies that are supposed to provide services, are they providing services for everybody? Is it all inclusive? Is it being responsive to the needs of the boy child, the girl child, and women? So that's how I've chosen to look at gender. The lens of where we choose to operate, you find that we interrogate the structures, we critically analyze our interventions, and when we look at it from this two prism of service delivery accountability, I dare to say that our interventions are innovative because it must go through the gender lens, and it must speak to accountability, it must speak to service delivery and inclusiveness at the overall level of it. And let me round up by saying that women, boys, girls are not a homogeneous group, right? So we still further disaggregate socioeconomic status, we further disaggregate urban, rural women, we further disaggregate with physical ability or disability.
More recently, there has been a lot of media engagements by organizations, especially in areas of, you talk about people living with disabilities. How has that fared? Has it been challenging working with them, especially because the organization hammers on inclusivity over the years?
So it's based on an intervention we had that we were implementing. And that's why I say, if we look at it through our prism, you'll be learning every day, and you find that no matter how inclusive you feel your processes are, there is always a group or two that you have left out. So working on responding to sexual gender-based violence in communities over the years, we have interfaced, we've worked with law enforcement and security personnel, building capacity, modeling what we tag the mixed observer team, MOTs, which is basically looking at women within the law enforcement and security agencies coming together and being in the forefront of addressing some of the SGBV issues. Why did we say they should be in the forefront? Because ideally, the law enforcement and security agencies in a country should mirror the community they are serving. That's what fosters trust. So if I get into a police station and it's all men and I want to make a report, there are chances that I would not feel comfortable to proceed further, right? So we say they should mirror, but we know that there's a bit of hesitance on the part of citizens or members of the community to report certain types of crimes to men because of the element of shame, because of the element of shyness. How do I walk into a police station and I meet a man at the counter and then I'm reporting, I just got raped, I was harassed by this, I was assaulted by that. It might all go better for me if I meet a female officer and then I share my experience with her. But again, I'll quickly note that it's not a given that the female officer would also show empathy, right? So that's why the training is across board, male, female. However, bolstering and having more women that they can engage with. That's the principle behind the mixed observers team. Then the mixed observers team also go into the communities. So they're not sitting back in the police stations or their offices. So they go together as a team into the communities, educating the members of the communities on what is SGBV, how they can easily identify, how they can access them to make complaints, or they can access them for further information. The flip side of that was that I think it was during the planning meeting that colleagues just said, okay, let's pay a visit to the School of the Blind in Niger with the MOTs, mapping, because we wanted to access schools, right?
Yeah.
So in accessing schools, we went to the School of the Blind, and it's totally changed the narrative for us. Because yes, they listened, but their issues were a bit not like regular issues. The issues we found on responding to sexual gender-based violence are also hinged on our legal framework, and even at times some of our biases that have found itself. Police being one of the law enforcement agencies, being the lead law enforcement agency, is still very traditional in the way they address and respond to criminality broadly, including SGBV. So the visually impaired person has a heightened sense of smell, but is visually impaired.
Yeah.
When the average person, including the police, is talking about identification, they are talking about identification from visual identification.
Yes.
So you see the
Disparity.
Which this was what really got us very interested in engaging with the community and having focal persons embedded with our own team to help us have a better understanding of what the issues are, and together we work on responses to these issues.
Interesting. It's International Women's Month, and this year's theme is Accelerate Action. P1 had a webinar with some guests to talk about women participation in governance and politics and all of that. What is your view concerning women in leadership, how men, or how we can generally amass support for them, what actions need to be taken to really accelerate the action that we are looking at for this year's theme?
I think for me, I say women in leadership, women participation in public space goes beyond politics. I would say we need to look at it from the prism of the different sectors of the society. Women in economy, women in public office, women in development space leadership.
Yeah.
Within the development space, women in the academia, in the security institutions, the whole prism of it. And I would say that I'm not sure we're doing enough, particularly in the public governance space. Not that I'm not sure, I know we're not doing enough. Once upon a time in this country, and I think that was the trend we saw 2003, 2007, it was almost a given that you would get a male-female joint ticket, right? And over time, we saw how that whittled away, and then the push was joint ticket based on religion.
Religion, yes.
And I asked myself, should it be either or? Can't we have a joint ticket that merges gender and religion? Ogun State is an example. It's male, female, Christian, Muslim. Right?
Yeah.
Which is fairly representative of the state. I don't know. I think Lagos is a male ticket.
Yeah, I think Kaduna used to be
No, Kaduna is
male, female, although the same religion, but
yes.
Currently it's
male.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I thought Kaduna was still, so I mean, this is a big trouble. It's troubling, right? There are allegations of emotional maturity, emotional intelligence. I don't think it also holds water, right? Because when a man is ambitious, there is no issue with it. When a woman exhibits the same level or even a lesser level of ambition, it is tagged as being aggressive. If a woman also under the level of ambition indicates interest in certain positions, if a man indicates interest in certain positions, it's tagged as it's a given. I mean, that's normal. If a woman indicates interest in certain public positions, it's like she doesn't know her place, right? Over the years, we've engaged with different women in politics, intergenerational conversations, and the issues are still the same. Oh, she's a prostitute. Oh, she's not under the cover of a man. Therefore, she's irresponsible. Oh, she's on her second marriage. Therefore, she's irresponsible. But he's on his second wife. He's on his third marriage. It's okay, right? Oh, she has they say, what else do they say? Oh, she has a PhD, she's overqualified. Oh, he has a PhD, he's well read.
Yeah.
So you see, the society, I think, at every point in time is trying to downplay, trying to subjugate the girl child, invariably adult women too, as we get older. So you want something, you have to learn to fight for what you want. I tell colleagues that if a woman is undertaking a task, for her to be recognized that she's undertaking that task, she would have had to put in 110, 120, 150% of her efforts into it. Then maybe she will get an eyebrow and an acknowledgement, okay, she's doing the task, before we even talk of, oh, she's doing it well. But the guy pulls in 60% of his efforts, oh, he's trying hard. That guy is hardworking, So it's just, they say that life is just not balanced. It's not skewed in favor of women. It's the patriarchal, and I dare to say colonial, hangover.
Okay.
Yeah, colonial hangover. Because if we step back in history a bit, before we were colonized, we had women in public spaces, we had women in leadership. Yeah, I'm Yoruba, so I can talk of Moremi, right? Because I'm Yoruba, we have a Fushito. And because I'm Yoruba, we had series of matriarchs, that speak to that were women that challenged and were in public spaces of leadership. because I'm Yoruba, I can also, allude to the examples of our Yoruba deities. You don't become a deity because just because you're a woman. You must have done something that is landmark, right? And history shows us that. Little I know from the north, there's Queen Amina.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. And she's not, I'm sure she's not the only one. If we dig very deep, we would find them, right? So there's the offshoot of colonialism, that when the colonial masters came, they came with religion, and they sold religion to us in the blends of the fact that women are to be seen and not to be heard. Yes.
So what are the specific steps, or what do we need to strengthen to accelerate action?
What do we need to do to accelerate action? Positive action that will grow the girl child.
Yes.
Women. Education is one. And I'll say education from the lens of formal education, girl child education. But I'll say we need to balance it, because I'm also seeing certain trends that is evolving, where you see the girl child going to school, getting formal education, and the boy child is dropping out of school
to just learn the truth.
Yeah, and they're not getting good quality education, because it's not either or, right? So at the end of the day, that girl child you've invested in will now end up marrying that boy child that didn't go to school. It's not matching.
Yeah.
Right? And then we now come back and then we say the girl is not ready to get married. Who do you want her to marry? That guy that has no level of education, you've pulled her back. So it's not either or. So even for the purpose of accelerating action for growth for the girl child, education needs to be embraced by both the boy child and the girl child. Two is, apart from university, apart from tertiary education, what else? What are the alternative means of livelihood? Because there's a youth board and we seem to be churning out graduates year in, year out. But what kind of skill set do we need in the Nigeria of today and in the Nigeria of 30 years from now, such that it's those skill sets that we are grooming in the next generation? So while she's on that national assignment of birthing and nurturing, should she be exempted from taking advantage of growing herself in other sectors? I think the answer is no, because COVID has taught us that you don't need to be physically present in a space to make your contribution to that space, which links to technology. So how are we looking at technology as a tool to bridge this gap? That's a conversation I think we need to have as a country, as a people, and in different areas, different components. The government provides the enabling space. The private sector must be willing to be part of this conversation. Academia, research, training institutions, development sector, we all need to be part.
How do you manage work and your personal life? Especially because there are a lot of young girls who are watching, a lot of women who are aspiring, to be in that space career-wise. So how do you manage
Work-life balance.
Work-life balance.
I think I struggled with work-life balance for a bit, yeah. Because again, it's this element of what do you want to put in your best, and like I said, the system is skewed in such a way that you have to put in 105, 120, 130% before you are even acknowledged. So I struggled quite a bit with work-life balance. I'm even still on the journey of work-life balance. I'm not fully there. But I think wherever you are at every point in time, you need to determine what is essential, what is desirable, and then determine what you need to do. There's a level you are at that it needs everything of you. So you need to invest as much as you can invest, because your investment would also determine to a reasonable extent your outcome. So it's getting your hands dirty on the job. And those are the words my former boss used to use for me. He said, you can be in this sector, Kemi, you can be a technical person. And what you know is the technical piece of the work, right?
Yeah.
And if you're fine with that, that's fine, right? But you can be in this sector and you know the technical bit and the business element of it. They're two different things, right? And a few people combine the business element, the entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship with technical competence, and you bring it together. I can step out and work as Kemi, as an individual, based on my technical skill set. But when I come into P1, I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm looking at growing my organization. I'm looking at strategies. I'm looking at fundraising, right? I'm looking at HR. I'm looking at processes that are put in place to drive a business, to drive an organization that can exist outside me. They're two different. So your level of ambition would gauge your work-life balance. Yeah. For the work-life balance, again, your partner is essential. Whoever you decide to join yourself with, right? Because if the person understands and the person appreciates what you're doing, if you're on the same journey together, it makes it easier. Right? So if you guys you can just even decide that, okay, today we're not talking business, today we're not talking work, but you'll find even in your down times, little, conversations will come, you get insights, you draw insights from each other, right? Then I'll say, what do you like doing? Last year, I had to sit to reflect what were the things that I really enjoyed when I was a bit younger. Not that I'm old, What are the things I enjoyed? I love listening to music. I love reading, right? So in recent times, I've tried to go back to those things, right? I hear my son telling me the older he gets, and I had to quickly adjust myself. He will say, Mommy, you're not listening to me, right? Mm-hmm. You are looking at me, but you're not listening to me. That speaks to work-life balance, because I need to create that time to be with him. I'm listening to you. No matter how I feel. Maybe I feel, okay, what he's saying, what is this boy saying? So if I beg, I've gone since morning. But what he's saying, it makes sense to him. And so maybe the father is a bit more matured. He doesn't come out to say, you're not listening to me. He just keeps quiet and hopes to get you at a better time. Right? But you have a filter. Or he'll tell, Mom, you don't play with me. I'm like, how do you play? And father says, oh, you sit on the floor with him. You jump. I said, jumping. You're sitting on the floor, going inside play pen. I beg, I've gone since morning. But that's why I said, even me, I'm working on myself with work-life balance, because are they essential and are they important to me? Are they desirable elements of the part of my life? Yes, they are. So it's knowing how to benchmark it. And I think in the past couple of years, one of the things we have committed to doing as a family is that we go away. So we go away, 3 of us. Spend that
time together.
Yes, spend that time together. We also have a system that brings in extended family, because we are Africans.
Yeah.
Because we are Africans, it's not solitary nuclear family standing alone. So we also have systems that helps us bring in extended family
to bond.
Yeah.
There seems to be a really short time with a lot of SDGP goals. Most of them are to be achieved by 2030. What is your vision for first the Nigerian woman, and where do you see yourself and P1 in the next 5 years?
I think we're a work in progress, and I see more women. We're getting bolder. We're getting more comfortable in the public space. I think we're developing a bit more of rhino tendencies, which is thick skin, which we need to develop. I've been involved in a program that is aimed at building confidence of senior police leadership, senior female police officers for leadership position. And one of the things we've stressed is emotional intelligence. And I think this is a conversation we continue to have. And it's a conversation that is germane, and it's critical for us as women. So I think as we get closer, right? The next couple of years, I don't think it will be a bad idea if we have more women vying for not just picking up the tickets, but getting to the seats, right? Against all odds, against all the stumbling blocks and things they'll put in front of us. P1 at 15. My thought would be that my desire, we're in the process of transforming, we're in a transition phase. And the transition phase for us is, and this is one of the things I used to do when I was much younger. When school starts, I'll say I need to reinvent myself. Yeah. So I don't want to go to school. I'm not resuming this session looking like the Kemi of last session. It's reinventing yourself and you taking a quick stock of what are your strengths, what are the weaknesses, what are your threats, what are the opportunities. For P1, I'd love to see P1 in the next 5 years be that go-to organization when it comes to knowledge management, when it comes to innovative implementation, lessons learned on issues that we have committed ourselves to. women, gender, human rights. What does it mean for us? I think that's the trajectory that I see us moving to in the next couple of years. I hope that by that time, the new face of leadership in P1 would have fully actualized, right? So I would say the journey would not be me and P1. I can tell you journey P1. Kemi's journey, that's a different kettle of. I do not, I hope I would have handed over, right? And we would have, with myself and the leadership present, the board, yeah, we would have groomed, the next phase of P1, the ladies that would lead into the next phase. But for me, what do I want to do? I've always loved the fact, I love my research, I love teaching, more reflection. I'm at a reflective stage right now of what next for me.
What's the one thing you will tell a younger girl who looks up to you and wants to grow and be heard in her space?
Work hard. Work hard. Believe in yourself. Above all, believe in God. Right? Hard work does not kill. Confidence in yourself helps you to internalize what you are learning and what you want to do with it. And above it all is that people say I've done 99.9, but there's that 0.1 or 1% that is in the hand of the Most High. And you just pray for His favor. We pray for His grace that He backs it up so that it makes sense.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Please don't forget to kindly follow us on all our social media handles at isumedia and AkweyaTV.com. Check our YouTube channel for the latest stories in the development sector and also our website. I am Folusha Oga. Bye for now.